So here we are looking at Capita Mercury. Capita Mercury was the Capita totally fucking awesome. But a lot of shops that sold this, where they got a lot of pressure, Capita did, from shops that sold this saying, we don't like the fucking part. So they changed it to the Mercury. But as you can see, both boards are identical. There might be some slight tweaks that I didn't notice, but you know, feeling the totally FK and awesome in the Mercury, you know, they feel about the same weight. The Mercury feels a little lighter. These are both 157s. You know, and when it started out as the totally fucking awesome, it was kind of like the redheaded stepchild to the black snowboard of death, which at the time had a very similar design. So it was just kind of like, okay, let's make just a, you know, same kind of board, just a few millimeters wider, slightly different specs, but pretty much the same design. Let's just make it a little heavier at a lower price point. But now the black snowboard of death is totally different. It's this tapered, directional, free ride, totally different kind of camber profile board. And then every year, the totally FK and awesome kept getting better, kept getting lighter, using better materials, and it just became much more fun. Where, you know, I used to have a blast on the old Black Snowboard of Death 159, which was, you know, a stiff, aggressive board. Now I find I'm having just as much fun on the Capita Mercury and formerly totally fucking awesome, you know, 157. So, you know, a little shorter, but a little more, you know, a little more playful. As you can see, there's a healthy bit of camber underfoot, and it's got lots of pop and, you know, a nice spring to it. And then you can see there's a mellow rocker in the tip and tail that comes up. You know, just you know, it's just a little kick, and it makes for a pretty aggressive board. Take a look at the flex here. You know, it's not terribly easy to butter, but you can butter it because, you know, it's kicked up a little bit, and it does give, you know, if you get a strong leaning back. So some people like that. Some people like that extra effort. So if you're a more aggressive rider, I think you'll like this, where a lot of hybrid camber boards can just let go once you lean back and just butter away to the point where you know, flip onto your ass. This won't really do that. This is kind of more in line with like more closer to a traditional camber board, where it's still easier. It's a board that really likes to carve, really likes to go fast. It's all about picking up some speed, doing a straight line, doing a big gnarly carve, hitting a big kicker, riding the pipe. But you'll want a binding with it that's pretty aggressive, something that's going to turn it really fast, very responsive, very, you know, most likely stiff binding you want to pair up with this. Like, for example, I had a blast with the T-Rice, and I had a pretty good time with the Atlas as well, although the T-Rice was probably the most responsive, and the factory from last year really turned this board well, and a nice pairing. So there is a little bump. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look down this camber profile, you'll see a little bump in the middle they call death grip. So it kind of screws with you when you look at the waist widths. You'll think this is wider than it is, but there's a few extra millimeters in there, making the board seem wider than it is. So if you're thinking you can squeeze off a mid-wide, if you're on that border, you know, you're like a 10.5, 11, 11.5, and you're using reduced footprint boots, and you think you can squeeze this off because you look at the waist width, you're wrong. It's not gonna be like that. It's more for like my size 9 shoes are having a blast turning this. So that's kind of, you know, where it's at. So anyways, Capita Mercury, really nice design this year. You know, it's going to remain an aggressive all-mountain favorite, and it's just got, you know, it's got a setback. You can ride this centered, ride it switch really well. You can set it back for a powder day. You've got a 5 of an inch setback, which I think is like 12.5 millimeters, something like that. So there you go, Capita Mercury. Really fun, aggressive, carvy board that also allows you to butter more than a lot of aggressive all-mountain boards would. And that's that. Where's my...